Hello everybody, welcome back to a GCSE maths video. In this video we'll be looking at angles and specifically opposite angles. So what is an opposite angle? Well, an opposite angle is created when two straight lines cross. So you can see we've got one straight line this way and we've got one straight line this way, and the opposite angles are just the angles that are opposite each other due to this like line crossing. So you've got this green one here, you've got this red one here. You know, you've also got like these little angles, I'll call them X here. They're also opposite. You know, if they're opposite one another, if they're created when two lines intersect, it's an opposite angle. The key thing here is that opposite angles are always going to be equal. So for example, you know, if I was told this green angle is 120 degrees, well, it's an opposite angle to the red one, so the red one also has to be 120 degrees. Okay, so let's get into some practice questions. So we basically just want to work out what is the value of the letter here. So, you know, what type of angle do we have? Well, two lines are intersecting. It's an opposite angle. So what angles are opposite? Well, you've got A and this 100 degrees, and then you have these ones here. So if we want to find out A, well, we know that A is opposite the 100 degrees. Opposite angles are equal. Therefore, A must also equal 100 degrees. Okay, now let's look at the second one. Well, you know, you've got two lines intersecting, therefore we must have some opposite angles. You've got the 120 and the B, you know, they're opposite one another, therefore opposite angles. And you've also got these angles on the outside here. So we want to work out what is the value of B. Well, if B is opposite 120 and opposite angles are equal, then B is going to be 120 degrees. Okay, what about this next one? So again, we've got a pair of opposite angles. You've got the C and you've got the 115. You have these ones here as well, if you want to call them X. And we know that opposite angles are always equal to each other. So, you know, if C is opposite 115, C must also be equal to 115 degrees. Okay, so let's move on to the next type of question. So this is a little bit more kind of, there's a lot more to it. So we're trying to think about, you know, what type of angles have we got here? So again, you've got the intersection of two straight lines. That means you've got two pairs of opposite angles. So when it's more complex, you've got more numbers, it's always good to label what angles are opposite, just give them the same letter. So you've got the 140 and the E, that's a pair of opposite angles, and you've got the 40 and the D, that's a pair of opposite angles. And we know that opposite angles are always going to be equal. And so what is the value of E? Well, it's opposite 140, so that means E must equal 140 degrees. D is opposite 40, that means D must equal 40 degrees. Okay, so the next question is, well, what do these angles add up to? What do we think they should add up to? So if we're looking at this as being a full turn or a circle, we know that the sum of interior angles should always equal 360 degrees. So if you've got 140 plus 140 plus 40 plus 40, well, let me just add these first. You get 280 plus 80, that's 360. So that's always a good way to check, have I, you know, done my opposite angle question correctly? Do the angles add up to what I know they should add up to? Okay, so we've got one final question here, and it just looks like this. So it's pretty similar to the last one. So we want to think, what are our pairs of opposite angles? Well, you've got Q and the 63, you've got the R and the 117. And we know that opposite angles, of course, they're always going to be equal. So we know that the Q is going to be equal to 63 degrees. We know that the R is going to be equal to 117 degrees. Okay, so that's pretty much it for opposite angles. You know, just always bear in mind when you're given a question, what angle have I got here? Are two lines intersecting, then I have opposite angles, or is something else going on?